Hi friends, and welcome to Cricvidya's cricket podcast. And today we'll be reviewing the third test between India and Australia. Uh, and to discuss all this, we have a special guest with us, Gurkirat. Hey Gurkirat, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Suneet. Good to be here, making my
Yeah.
debut. It's the
Yeah.
season. It's the season of debuts. Yeah.
So since we are also in our initial year only, so I think everybody who comes on our podcast is making his debut only. So
Right,
so
So,
and we have Manju as well. So Manju is quick
right.
with
so you're the Indian team of podcasts. Everybody
yeah.
does their debuts
Yeah.
well. Cameron Green has been an exception in that way, if you ask me. We've
Yeah.
Right.
not given him any wickets so far, which is a huge thing.
But
Yeah.
he's bowling quite less. So in that sense, he's not been used that much.
He has a
He's just
restriction of the overs.
yeah.
Hmm.
So Manju, you can take it from there. You can start.
Okay. So thank you very much, Sunit, and a very warm welcome to Gurkirat. So it's great fun to be discussing, at least not on the wrong side of a test match, but at least in the middle somewhere at the bridge, and having experienced a really breathtaking draw. So over to you, Gurkirat. What are your thoughts when you assess the Sydney test of this series?
Uh, I think largely the Indian team should be happy with the result, depending upon how things turned out. Another debutant coming through, uh, so obviously the bowling was short a little bit in terms of experience, and then with the injuries that got added, with no Jadeja being there, so it could have been a lot worse, considering how things turned out. Uh, how Hanuma Vihari shone through himself. So I think India would be happy that they're going 1-1 into the final test. And but there are also there are also cases of some opportunities being lost. I thought that on the second day we were brilliant after restricting Australia to 338. I thought that was a pitch which should have the par score should have been around 400, and the average score in the last 5 test matches has been 458. So to restrict Australia to 338 was a brilliant effort. I thought in the first innings, Ajinkya Rahane's captaincy was not as good as it could have been, and even in the second innings, there was probably I'd posted on Twitter that his captaincy was similar to how Joe Root's captaincy is. Joe Root keeps throwing the ball to Jofra Archer and forgets Adil Rashid is there in the team.
Right.
Similarly, I think on the first day, Rahane had forgotten about Ravindra Jadeja. And, come the second day, Ravindra Jadeja came out with some very important breakthroughs, also helping in finishing up the tail. Got Cummings cheaply, Nathan Lyon cheaply. So it was a good effort. And, we had a chance to sort of bat Australia. If not out, then we could have taken a 70 or 100 run lead, especially with the way our openers had started. But again, 3 run outs. I think the most frustrating part was that. But it could have been a lot more worse, depending upon how the second innings of Australia went. But India could be really proud of their effort. I mean, batting out 130, 140 overs, which was more than what Australia did in Melbourne, on a flatter wicket on third and on a day 3 and a day 4 pitch. So it takes a lot of character, a lot of dedication, determination, and I think all whether it be Cheteshwar Pujara, all 6 batsmen, apart from say Ajinkya Rahane, deserve a lot of credit for that.
So, what do you make of Cheteshwar Pujara's effort? It is a Herculean task to remain there with scoring so little and facing so many balls. So, according to you, what significance or did it have a bearing on the final outcome? Definitely uh, on the game.
Of course, I think Jared Kimber in his article had explained it perfectly that yes, probably he should have scored more, but it was not because he had faced so many deliveries and his strike rate should have been up. He should have probably scored more because he'd gotten settled in the first innings. But I find this whole conversation around his strike rate, to be very honest, a case of mixing formats.
Right.
Because I think batsmen themselves know that what is more what is a more assured way for them. Conventionally, you'd say that Rishabh Pant in the second innings batted in a manner which was risky, right? And Cheteshwar Pujara batted in a manner which was more conventional and averse to risk taking. But if you go by Crick Info, the control percentage for Rishabh Pant was 86, and the control percentage for Cheteshwar Pujara was 84. And Sid
Right.
Monka rightly pointed it out that the couple of occasions when Pant got dropped was when he was defending. So we need to let players be in the way they are more comfortable in. If Cheteshwar Pujara feels that he will score runs he will score runs at a certain pace, where he will be comfortable only when he has played 100 odd deliveries, then let him be. Probably he knows that if he takes more risks, then it will be more difficult for him, because we also have to realize that all batsmen know their limitations, and I think Pujara knows that he doesn't have as many release shots than what say a Virat Kohli has, or even a Rohit Sharma or a Ajinkya Rahane has. So I think we should let all players be. It's a very fine line of being ultra defensive and being a proper test match batsman, and it doesn't help, in probably crossing that line or being on that line when you have such a great bowling attack, which doesn't give you any half volleys or any looseners, and and when you're without the best batsman of your team. So I think people need to appreciate the effort, and people need to let Cheteshwar Pujara be. I don't think it's a time he's played some 75 plus or 80 odd test matches. I don't think it's now a time where he's going to change much, because once he tried changing his approach, we saw him getting run out. We saw him playing uncharacteristic strokes in 2015, 2016, and it didn't work out for him. So he has his own value in the team. If you need the scoreboard to be ticking, then what India did yesterday was sending out Rishabh Pant. I think that was the best thing, that was one of the best moves of the series. So you need to ask other batsmen to bat around him rather than asking him to change his
Yes.
ways, because the same ways gave you a test series win in a country where you had never won in 70 years. So I mean, that's how it is.
So,
So
Gurkirat,
almost
one
70
question.
years later. Ah, yes.
Yeah. So, do you think they could have sent Pant a little higher, maybe before Rahane, and tried to do this a little earlier? That could have given them a little more chance of winning.
Not really, not necessarily, because you when Rahane came out to bat, there was the objective was to survive and play till the end of the day. So I think in that sort of a situation, an Ajinkya Rahane works better. And there was a similar situation on day two as well, when Shubman Gill got out, being the second wicket. But I was massively frustrated with how Rohit Sharma got out in the second innings. I thought that
Hmm.
if he could have played till the end, and even the Australian camp would have been slightly worried about what could come. And it was this match could have easily been a win for India, had so many small things gone their way. Probably a Rohit Sharma batting till the end of day four, or a Rishabh Pant batting for another 50 runs. It could have changed the whole dynamics. Or India just holding on to their catches, in the second innings, or being more defensive in their approach. I thought in the second innings, uh, Ajinkya Rahane could have managed the bowling attack slightly better, giving the ball more to Saini, and have had defensive fields, have 4 or 5 men on the boundary, and preserve sort of Jasprit Bumrah, because his pace was also down. He was bowling in the high in 130s. He was not bowling 140s in the second inning. So small things that didn't go our way, but I think it was a test match which sort of, as Ravi Shastri say, cricket was the real winner and no team deserved to lose. So I think both teams should take it.
So since you mentioned Bumrah, I'll just ask a slight off-topic question. If he's not 100%, would you risk him for Brisbane Test?
It's a very tough one. Normally I'm on the spectrum that says that only 100% fit people should play, but I don't think there are any 100% fit people left in this Indian side. Probably you could say Rohit is 100, even Rohit, not even Rohit, maybe an Ajinkya Rahane is 100% fit, and a Shubman Gill is 100% fit, but there are not many 100% fit people left in this side. So one is that. The other is, considering, I think India would have anyway thought that they would not play Bumrah in the Test series at home against England. So considering there is rest, and if Bumrah thinks that he can manage that workload, then maybe it's a risk worth taking, because you don't get such opportunities again. Say if India were 2-1 down, I would have said, okay, let Bumrah rest. There's not much to play for. But considering there is a lot to play for, it's still 1-1, and considering the massive inexperience amongst other bowlers. So if there is no Bumrah, and I have a feeling India will go with a 4-1 attack. I think India will play 4 pacers and 1 spinner. So if there is no Bumrah, then you have a bowling attack which has 4 bowlers who have played what 6 test matches, because Natarajan will make his debut, and Shardul Thakur, although he has played 1 test match on paper, but he bowled 10 deliveries in that. So it will become a case of massive inexperience. So I think if Bumrah thinks that he can manage it, even if he's 70-80%, then I think it's a risk worth taking. But that should be one call which should lie completely with Jasprit Bumrah. If he thinks he can play, then I think he should play. If he thinks he can't play, then I don't think India should play him. So it's sort of a that. Had it not, say if India had a Shami or an Ishant Sharma, I would have said no need to play Bumrah. But you don't have anyone left. You also have Ashwin, who's sort of overbowled, and I don't think he's also going to be 100%. So might as well take that chance, because in India, I think India will be able to manage if there is no Bumrah. There's going to be Ishant, there's going to be Shami, there's going to be Umesh, Siraj is going to be there more or less. So in India, I think India will be able to manage. There's going to be Kuldeep, there's going to be Shahbaz Nadeem. So I don't think the England series is going to be an issue. But if Jasprit Bumrah feels that he can play, I think he should play. If he thinks he doesn't, he shouldn't.
So Gurkirat, you said 4+1, but do you think at that Gabba pitch, India can afford to go with less number of batsmen, because all these bowlers who will now play won't be really contributing with the bat? So in that sense, there are opinions where you might want to go with 4 bowlers only, and that might be a little defensive, but that might be the approach if they want to at least save the test.
See, how I see things happening is Mayank coming in for Vihari, right? And that
Yeah.
makes six batsmen if you include Pant, because there is no Jadeja. My issue is that regardless of who you play, whether it be a Prithvi Shaw or you play a Riddhiman Saha, I don't think that they add a lot of value on current form as a seventh batsman, right? And considering it is Gabba, considering that pitch is going to have bounce, I think Shardul Thakur could be a good pick in place of Ravindra Jadeja. He's no mug with the bat, so he could probably be back to bat a little bit. Also, the thing is, if there was one pitch in India that could resemble the Gabba, it is the Wankhede pitch. So because it also has considerable amount of bounce. So I have a feeling that Ajinkya Rahane is going to play Shardul Thakur, and I think it's a good pitch. It's a pitch where Shardul Thakur, all the Mumbai players except for I'd say Rishabh Pant, Prithvi Shaw will enjoy. Rohit Sharma we know enjoys bounce. Ajinkya Rahane himself loves bounce and pace. So I think all the players who are from Mumbai, they will enjoy the Gabba pitch, and you know I have a feeling that Shardul Thakur, just because of the way he bowls and the amount of experience he has of playing Ranji cricket, might turn out to be a good move, and I have a feeling he'll play. Had it been
Okay.
a SCG or a MCG, I would have said that India should play Kuldeep in place of Jadeja,
Hmm.
go in with 2 spinners and 3 pacers. But because it is Gabba, I am tempted to play Shardul Thakur, also because he adds some value with the bat.
Hmm.
So, what would you feel in Nitin Patel's shoes if you were there on day 5? Because to manage so many battered players,
God knows how he managed it. I mean, it's
really.
it's a very thankless job,
Hmm.
because you're not going to get any credit for it, more or less. And when there's an injury or when there's an unfit player on the park, the questions that are asked is that how did the management allow it? What was the physio doing? What was the medical staff doing? Why didn't they step in, etc., etc.? So I have no clue how he would have managed it. And I just saw a meme on Twitter which had that scene from Fir Hera Fairy, where they were running that this is Nitin Patel right now, or
Right.
he should just stand at the boundary and sort of wait and keep running in whenever somebody needs something, or I it's a pretty hard job. I think somebody had raised a point on one of the social media platforms that probably considering how the scenario is and how players have to stay in a bio bubble, haven't met their families in sort of 4 or 5 months now, probably there was a need to send a psychologist around as well along with the staff. I think this is where this is what the BCCI could have done, and it would have been a good move. But yeah, Nitin Patel, if he's able to put out Ashwin and Bumrah on the park somehow, he deserves a raise. He genuinely deserves a raise. So I mean, yeah. So
And
that's all.
finally, something away from the cricket, there were a lot of unsavory incidents that happened in this game, which even if we choose to ignore most of them, the one very pertinent question that I would like you to take on is that have we really become sensitized or aware towards racism in sport at large? And are we taking too few steps? What are your thoughts regarding this? Because on one side we have the BLM movement and Michael holding speech, and on the other side we have this unsavory incident at the boundary. So just take a short take.
So it, it it's a for starters, it's a very layered question, and it needs a very layered answer, I'd say. And it's something which will never have one sort of a one solution fits all kind of a thing. Every society is different, so every society will need racism to be dealt differently, right? It's something that, yeah, I think it's sad that we are still having these issues even in the 21st century. They need to go. But I think by and large there is much more awareness, which is a good thing. But of course, can we make the spectators and the players and everyone else around the game more aware? Definitely. Uh, do we need to take steps ourselves and keep ourselves in check and keep reminding ourselves as to what we are saying is not derogatory to other people? Definitely, because you know anybody who's been at Indian stadiums, they know, if you have taken a seat near the boundary, you know the kind of stuff that is said, and forget the stuff that is said to the overseas players, right? If you are
Hmm.
watching a game in North
Our own.
India, if you are watching a game in North India, most of the players from South India in some way or the other are eventually addressed by some dish or the other which is from South India. And it is a very sad thing that it still happens. So firstly, we need to we I think by and large we need to accept that diversity is a good thing. Diversity is a good thing, and it makes all of us better, and it offers us a bigger perspective to how things work in the larger scheme of life. I think this is where Owen Morgan, I feel Owen Morgan has been one person along with Jason Holder who've been sort of the best spokesperson in the current cricketing world on these issues. I remember after the 2019 World Cup, when somebody asked Owen Morgan that was the luck of Irish with England. So he said, "No, I'm pretty sure that Allah was with us as well because Adil told me." And then he
Right.
spoke of how this is what represents the current English team. You have players who are from South Africa. You have players who are from Asian backgrounds. You have players who are from the Irish backgrounds. You have players who are from the New Zealand background. You have players from all sorts of background, and all of them enjoy each other's company. I don't know if anybody has ever noticed, but whenever England is celebrating after a win, they start throwing off the champagne. They first do the team photo with Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid, and then they start celebrating with the champagne, because they
Hmm.
they respect
It's
they
respect.
respect the religion, the religious differences that is there, right? So I think racism can only go away once you have accepted that differences are important, that differences in identity and in cultures are a good thing. It is important, it gives you perspective. Once you are okay with it, I think racism itself is an issue which will go away with it, because at the heart of racism is nothing but differences and intolerance towards a different culture. Once you've accepted those differences, once you're tolerant about those cultures, once you've made your peace with it, you want to learn about other cultures. I think that is the time when these issues will also go away. But we all still need to do a lot more when it comes to dealing with racism. We need to I mean this I might have spoken longer than what you've what you would have
It's fine.
wanted. But
It's a
this
good
is
topic.
something, which sort of needs a discussion every now and then, not only when there's an
Yes.
incident.
Yes.
Hardik Pandya got engaged and then got married. Hardik Pandya is an established India cricketer, right? He's achieved a lot of things in a very short time, and the whole world talks about his talent. The whole world talks about how good he can be with the bat. But there were so many jokes on his color when he got engaged to Natasha, when he got married. I mean, you know that says how far we need to travel ourselves as a society and
Exactly.
as a cricketing community. Okay, if we are trolling Hardik Pandya for his color in this century, and he's an established India cricketer, then we really have the right to complain about other cultures? I don't think so. I what I feel is that we should still, we should stand up with Siraj and with our players when there is a racism issue, but we should also do it when somebody amongst ourselves is being racist towards Indian cricketers or foreign cricketers, or being any cricketer who's, or forget cricketer, or towards
Any sportsman, any individual.
any individual. So it's good that we are taking a collective stand right now, but it should never stop at that. It should be a collective responsibility, and an individual responsibility to call out such instances when it happened. So this is what I sort of feel on the whole issue. That's why I said it's a very layered issue, and it needs a very layered answer, and it needs to be dealt differently in each and every society. Racism is not just calling someone black, or calling
Hmm.
someone white supremacist or
Or
anything.
mix. Right.
At the heart of it, you have to accept that the diversity that is there. Once you've accepted it, racism, casteism, everything I think that is there will go away.
Good. So very enlightening session, and thank you for the articulate answers. And over to Sunit.
So, Gurkirat, now the last part we can discuss is about the fourth test.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think Australia also have their problems around the opening pair. So, what do you think about their team? Uh, what will they do? And Warner, there is a speculation might not play, and Pakowski also seems injured. So, do you think they still have an advantage going into the last test, or do you think it's even Stevens?
I think they still have an advantage considering their bowling attack, because I've always believed that Test cricket is the format where the gulf in quality eventually sort of reigns supreme. In T20, you can get away with being tactically strong and making up for quality because the game is short. In
Hmm.
test that doesn't happen. So they still have the advantage considering they are also playing in Gabba, which is sort of their fortress where they haven't lost. And I still feel that Warner will play, if even if he's not 100%. But I am not sure about Pukosri because he went off the field on fifth day.
Hmm.
And if he goes out, then I think Matthew Wade will open again. Travis Head will come back. But I think this what this series has done, and what the 2019 Ashes did was, it sort of showed that Australian batting lineup is also not a very strong batting lineup. They have a long way to go because they are mighty dependent upon Steve Smith, and it revolves around one man. On the other hand, what the Indian side this time has shown is that they are not just Virat Kohli when it comes to the bat. There are other people who can take up the responsibility, and which was the case in most of the 2018 overseas cycle. It was the case in England, it was the case in South Africa, where none other batsmen sort of stood up and scored runs. But now the Indian batting can be more confident, and I hope that the century in Melbourne by Ajinkya Rahane is sort of a second coming for him,
Right.
because I am of the belief that when Ajinkya Rahane made his debut, he was better than both Virat Kohli and Cheteshwar Pujara. I'm not sure what their first class numbers were at that point, but just the sheer quality that was on display, it was something else. And it had been a long time since you'd seen one Indian batsman come and dominate the way overseas that how Ajinkya Rahane did, whether it be Durban 2013, Lords 2014, or Melbourne 2014, or Wellington 2014. Ajinkya Rahane definitely had a lot more quality than what Virat Kohli or Cheteshwar Pujara had at the beginning. So, I hope it's a second coming for him. And I still think that Australia hold the advantage because we started with India A in the first or the second test, but it's been India B, it's been India C, now it might be India D. But the one thing that makes me immensely proud of this Indian cricket team is the character and the mental strength that they have. You wouldn't see a lot of teams come back from 36 all out like this.
Yeah.
I would just like to repeat Shoaib Akhtar. He said in
Hmm.
that video after Melbourne कि 36
Right.
पे ऑल आउट होती है, फैंटी खाती है, फिर क्या करते, टॉस हार जाती है, पर फिर
हर
क्या
जगह.
करती है, फिर विराट कोहली चला जाता है, मोहम्मद शामी इंजर्ड हो गया है,
हाँ.
पर टीम इंडिया क्या करती है, टीम इंडिया कैरेक्टर दिखाती है, ये है टीम इंडिया. सो those lines make even more sense after the test match that has gone by, because
Hmm.
Right.
every test match we have lost a bowler. We lost Shami in the first test, we lost Umesh Yadav, and we have lost Ravindra Jadeja now. So hopefully there we need somebody to do some kind of a voodoo or some kind
Hmm.
of a havan or some kind of a puja to make sure there are no more injuries, because Gabba with its bounce and the Australian pacers can actually hurt. I remember
Yeah.
in 2013 Michael Clark sledging James Anderson in Gabba,
James Anderson.
that you might have a broken arm.
Yeah.
And with Mitchell Johnson throwing those thunderbolts. So it's going to be another difficult test match, but what I don't expect at all is a meek surrender. I expect India to fight. I expect India to fight hard, and I hope that India win the toss and bat first, because if they do that and if they put on a good score, we could genuinely put Australia under pressure, and this is the perfect pitch for somebody like a Rohit Sharma to show his class.
Yes.
Bounce and pace, not much movement. You can expect him to come good.
And your one advice to our bowlers, how to bowl on this Gabba track. So, any,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, even Jasprit Bumrah hasn't played a test match at Gabba, so
right.
that that is a worrying factor. And sometimes with a pitch like what happens with a green track, or a pitch like Gabba, is that you sort of get carried away. When you see a green track, you sort of start bowling a lot more fuller than what you usually do, and when you see a pitch like Gabba, you start bowling a lot more shorter than what you do. So I think
Right.
it's important that our bowlers don't sort of start bowling too short on a pitch like this, because in that what could happen is you sort of start giving the batsman the extra time. So I think it's important that the length is not too short. It's somewhere between the in between length, the corridor of uncertainty that you call it, and just keep at it. I also think that this could be a pitch that Navdeep Saini would enjoy. He has all the factors of becoming the next Ishant Sharma. Has the height, has
Hmm.
the pace. Just needs to get his line right. If he's able to get his line sorted in the beginning, I think he could be could be a handful on this pitch, because with somebody like a Navdeep Saini, what could happen is a full or a short of length or a good length delivery could actually rise up from nowhere because of his height, or can always take that extra bounce which would trouble the batsman. So I expect them to do the homework, but it's just that the lack of experience might just play a part.
So
So,
great,
Sunit, yeah.
Gurkirat. Yeah. So I think we'll all hope that we are proven wrong once again. Like today it happened, yesterday it happened. I think almost all Indian fans actually believed that India won't be able to make it, and everybody was thinking that, bus, it's just a matter of one wicket, and then we'll fall like a pile of cards. So in that sense, I think we'll all hope that we thinking that Australia has an advantage and India would just be able to put up a fight. And we're proven wrong once again by this team, and they are able to actually do the unthinkable. So we all hope that, and I think uh, Gurkirat would also agree that the team is actually capable of doing it, and it's just in their head, and if they can believe, then they would be able to do it. So thanks, Gurkirat. Yeah, please.
I was just, the last two times that we've played at Gabba, we have had some brilliant centuries. 2014,
Yes.
Murli Vijay scoring 144.
Hmm.
2003 for Saurav Ganguly scoring
Correct.
144. So hopefully there's another 144 coming along somewhere from one of the Indian batsmen, and I have a feeling that it would come from Rohit Sharma or Ajinkya Rahane.
Hmm.
Yeah. So thanks, Gurkirat, for this great
Yeah.
session
Thank you
and
very
your
much.
insights.
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you, Manju.
And I hope
Thanks.
our viewers would actually like this a point of view and the discussion that we had around that racism and all those things. And hopefully, it will actually bring some wisdom in terms of our behavior also going forward. So thank you, Gurkirat, and thanks, Manju. And Gurkirat, we hope to see you again.
Thank you, thank you. It
Yeah.
was good to chat with all of you, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Thanks.